the chat. Let's start the show.
Hello, 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 all you beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. I am your phenomenal host, Lindsey Vertner, peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. I teach ambitious, busy female entrepreneurs and leaders how to master their mindset and increase their self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline. That is what I do, and I'm here for you tonight to bring you all the happiness and the gems of life and business. And I'm super excited to introduce tonight's guest. But first, if you are watching this live, make sure you comment all the way live in the comments right now. Let me know you're here. And if you're catching the replay later on, that's okay. We still love you. Comment replay all day, okay? Now, here's the thing. It's going to be a lot of gems dropped in this show. In this episode. We're going to come with the heat. I already know because my guest is phenomenal. So you have to comment, love, and share this episode out because if you're getting the gems, somebody in your life also needs those gems. So comment, love, share. Make sure you let me know where you're tuning in from. I see those comments coming in already. And ultimately, it is time for you to grab a drink and join the chat. So let me introduce my first guest, okay? My first and my only guest for this episode. It is Mr. Brian J. Olds, and he is the president and founder of Black Speakers Network, which I'm a premium member. Okay, get you in the club, which is a membership-based professional speaker development company with an active network of over 10,000 members. Brian specializes in empowering rising professional speakers to create clarity, to streamline systems, and to cultivate the relationships needed to reach the unique audience that they are called to serve. Now, there is so much more that Brian does, just amazing. So, you know what? I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to bring him to the stage. So, welcome, Mr. Brian. How are you?
Listen, let's go. First of all, not only was that an amazing intro, you have one of the best intro graphics, like whoever your graphic person is. I'm like, this is like pay-per-view quality production over here. So yes, the happy hour. I am happy now. Geez.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. That's why I love my show, because we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we bring you the goods because it's the happy hour show. So thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I know I just told the folks at home just a little smidget of who you are, a little bit about your resume, but I want you to peel back the curtain and give us the candid goods. Let us know, like, who are you really? What's your background? How'd you come up to where you came up to? Like, tell us where it all started.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, when people ask me who I am, I can easily say, I was the skinny kid in Baltimore, not so skinny anymore, but, I was a skinny kid in Baltimore. I grew up, I'm still here, just living right outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And so I was, if you would have caught me around like age 5, I actually have a picture of me like in the back. I can grab that later if you want.
Please do.
That's me at age 5. And actually next to me is, I'll just grab it now. Here we go. So this was, hey, what's going on? So this was me at 5. I think it was 5 or 6, but I want to say 5.
And look at little Brian.
Yeah. Now, did you have the lasers or the clouds? I feel like it was like either like one or the other when you were a little kid. But
It depends on the grade. I think at some point I had all of them.
so I put that right there, and then next to it, I have this little spaceman because if you would have caught me around that age, you would have probably saw me sitting on the floor watching the NASA space shuttle launches, and so I was absolutely fascinated with space, science, technology, but specifically at that early age, I was like, "Yep, I want to be a rocket scientist." Not even realizing what that entailed or what was needed. I'm like, I'm gonna work for NASA. Like that's just what it's gonna be. Like I'm gonna work for NASA. And so that was the path that I set on. And so loving household, got my mom, small family. I have a one older brother, 13 years older than me. And I sat on this path. And so went to a vocational technical senior high school here in Baltimore. That was like the closest thing that I could like find to like a tech school. But I was like out here like trying to be like Elon Musk before Elon Musk got here. And so little did I know I had a little class waiting for me. I actually ended up going to Morgan State University, and little did I know that there was a little class waiting for me, Lindsey, called, Calculus 2, differential equations. And so I struggled like with all of that. Algebra was okay. Algebra 2 was like, okay, this is starting to get real. By the time you get up there, I remember I was taking a test and 30 minutes had gone by. I had absolutely nothing written on the paper. And I was just like, okay. So, you start looking around, you see what other people are writing. I'm like, what are y'all writing? Y'all know how to do this. Like, when y'all learn this? I'm sitting here with y'all. Like, our professor had this thick, like, Eastern German accent or something. I had no idea what he was saying half the time. So I look out the window. I'm like, okay, God, if you would just give me the answer to this test, like, I will be the best engineer. I promise. If I can just get through Calc 2, I can do this. And so it was like, Lindsey, clouds parted, right? And I was like, I could see the answer to the test. It was actually on the side of one of the buildings across the street. And it was the Earl G. Graves School of Business and Management. So with that sign, I left engineering school, signed up for business, and the rest was history. So that was my first big life failure. But it was not the last at all.
Listen, I'm so glad that you said that because, oh my goodness, there is so much that I wanted to touch on in just that little bit that you already gave. But first, let me check out these comments. Anita is in the house all the way live. Thanks for tuning in. And she says, I was going to say the same thing. Put me on, sis. Hey, I got you, boo. I got you. We here. And Jessica is tuning in as well. She says, cute, cool, and cute. Yes, I love that you still have that and buy that picture. And I love that you aspire to be like in space and do that big elaborate thing, because I know sometimes in the Black community, we don't see that, especially not people of our skin tone. And so we don't feel like we can be those things. So one, I just love that you had the aspiration to do that. And then came calculus. And then came calculus. I don't know where that music came from, but I feel like you should have done a little ditty right there. But yes, so sometimes we look at our failures and we feel like, oh man, this didn't work out, when really that was the nugget to lead you towards your purpose and what your true calling is. So I love that you were able to look at that as not necessarily a failure, but your sign. Like literally, it was your sign parted from the clouds.
Absolutely. And you know what? I agree with what you said. Even today, representation, because I spent some time doing diversity and inclusion, and representation is still a struggle within the STEM disciplines. I remember going to my first robotics competition and I was super excited. And so I just want to underscore how important like mentorship is, because I feel like, if I would have had more like peer support, if I would have had more mentor, I probably would have stuck it out. Like anybody who's gone through an engineering program will tell you, that's like the hardest time is those first couple of years. And then once you get in there, you're kind of rolling. And so it is super important. But now I can confidently say, that I don't regret anything along the path because of the cool stuff we get to do today. But it is definitely there. But I still have a heart. I feel like I'm still a technologist and engineer at heart, Lindsey. So, I try to incorporate it into like the stuff that we do.
I love that you mentioned representation because I know that you like anime and comics and all of that good stuff. And so my son is really into that as well. But I feel like, at least I don't know about where you grow up, but where I grew up, that was the nerdy thing to do. And you got picked on if you liked all of that kind of stuff. So talk to us a little bit about that. Were you picked on as a child? One, you were already tall, which I know that struggle being the tall, skinny one, especially worse as a girl. But then just liking those types of things, did it kind of make you stand out, or were you picked on, or did everyone embrace it around you?
Yeah, nobody embrace nothing. You just there's no embrace it. But here's the thing though, actually that's not true. So in middle school is the proving ground, right? And so what happens is for me, we moved 3 times. So I kind of can break my life into sagas. So like elementary school is like one saga, middle school. So you see the nerdiness, right? You got like,
I wanted to say that because I was like, most people would be like, I could break it into chapters or acts or something. And you were like sagas. And I was like, right on brand.
Like Hunger Games, like Catching Fire. We got Broken Arrow, all that good stuff. So for me, it was middle school where I started to, and I think a lot of people form their personality like middle school. I don't know what it is about middle school. Those 3 years just do something to kind of shape you as a person. And you're either going to stand up and walk in the direction that you're going to go, or you start to pull back, like whatever it is, it kind of reinforces. And by the time you get to high school, you're just kind of, trying to you kind of been cemented in that, and now you're going that direction. But for me, it was wrestling. Yes. So on any given Monday night, WWF, Raw, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Big Show, Kane, Undertaker, good old Jim Ross. I'm pretty sure 70% of my vocabulary came from Jim Ross, the announcer from wrestling. I was watching La Femme Nikita. I was watching Power Rangers. I was watching Dragon Ball Z. And so, yeah. And in my particular case, I didn't grow up with a dad. So it was like I kind of gravitated to different things that I felt like really spoke to my personality. But I didn't watch football. Like I didn't. Mm-hmm. So on a Monday night, if I'm gonna choose between wrestling and football, like I'm watching wrestling, And so, but there's a percentage of kids that were doing the same thing. And I think right now, part of the conversation is, I think we're kind of in an age now where, it's accepted, like weirdness is accepted, like being a nerd is like cool and stuff like that. But even then, I don't think you have to be cool with the entire school. You just have to have your circle of friends. And that was actually healthy for me. I'm already an introvert, which Lindsey. So it's not like I need to be the center of attention. I just need to create this space that's comfortable for me. And I still do that. And now I feel like I've come full circle. When I was in my professional career, working, I felt like, part of that kind of went onto the shelf a little bit because I tried to, fit into this mold. And then now all of that is coming right back. Like right now on TikTok, I have this like 80s and 90s, like it's stuff only 80s and 90 kids know. So we got DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, we got
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Go at Brian J. O's I don't know if this is the time to plug, but at Brian J. O's at TikTok, and you can check it out. 80s and 90s kids.
Yes, listen. I'm on TikTok. I don't get on there as often just because it takes me too damn long to make a 15-second video. And I'm like, Jeez Louise, I don't know how y'all pushing these out all day. But I do like whenever I catch the funny ones because I'm an 80s baby. And yes, I love it. And there's something that you said Real quick, over here in the comments, Tanya says, "Hey, Lindsey and Brian, proud of you guys. Thank you so much." And she says, "Oh my God, you're on TikTok? I haven't crossed over yet. Listen, Tanya, get on there, get your life. It is a great place for laughs. There are tutorials, but mostly when I get on there, I'm looking for all the funny videos for that laughing moment. But there's ways to leverage it for business as well. But you said that, you know, you had to kind of put a little bit of you on the shelf when you were in the professional world, and you grew up without a father, which I understand that not having that influence in your life, and so you gravitated naturally to what your personality was, and then starting your business and being on your own, you were able to embrace all of you, the quote unquote weird parts and all. And so one thing that I talk about in living a first class life is being unapologetically authentic to who you are, flaws and all, because when we try to live up to the expectations of other people, it gets draining, it gets exhausting, and we develop this subconscious resentment because we aren't living up to who we truly want to be. So, what would you say to that person that is watching or listening that is in that struggle right now, maybe in the professional space? Like they feel like they have to put on this persona versus truly be who they are and embrace their unique skills and talents.
Yeah, I think it's challenging. And by the way, nobody told me to do that, right? It was a reflection. It was something where, going into a new environment, you have one or two options. You could, stand out, or you could like assimilate in. And there's this old like proverb that says like the nail that sticks up gets hammered down, right? So I think I didn't want to get hammered down. Like I just wanted to, focus on. There was already all this new things that I'm trying to learn and do. And so I would say, the number one advice is like, if anything, you know, getting out of your own comfort zone is actually a pretty good thing. And you actually, believe it or not, like you want to consistently go to places where you are celebrated, and not just tolerated. And I think if you're feeling that way, you're feeling like you can't be the person that you are at all times, then that's an indication that, you should start looking for other opportunities, because like life is super short. The other thing is that, you really want to find and get aligned with people who truly celebrate the differences. A lot of times, even in like corporate diversity programs, companies will say, we want diversity and inclusion. We want to bring in diverse thought, different people, background, experiences. But then when those experiences come into the door, they try to shut it down. Like, we don't want those ideas. This is the way we do things. This is how it's done. Like, so, sit down and shut up, and so part of that is, just having an awareness of where you operate, and, not feeling like, all of these battles aren't necessarily your battles, So sometimes you have to, figure out where you're going to really focus your energy on, and decide, if that's the place to make a stand, or if it's time to, just move on.
Yes, I love that. And hopefully y'all are listening, because Mr. Brian is amazing and he's already giving you all the goods, okay? And we're just getting started. So make sure that you comment, love, share down below, share this video out. Let us know you're here. Engage in the discussion with us. And I see some questions already rolling in. He's going to get to answer your questions live in our 30-second hot shot segment, which will come later on. So if you have questions, post them now. Otherwise, we might not get to them. And if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my lovely, can I say lovely because he's a male, my handsome guest, Brian J. Olds. And we've already been talking about embracing your uniqueness and really being authentically you. So before we jump right back into the discussion, I think that this would be a perfect time to find out exactly
What's in your cup?
Hey, yes, if you've never seen the show before, this is called What's in Your Cup. And it's the segment of the show where you post what you're drinking at home. And if you're not drinking anything, then post what drink you're going to make yourself after the show is over, because obviously you don't want to miss it. And my guest is going to share what he's drinking on first. And then you give the cup some cup cam. And then I will share what I'm drinking on as well.
All right. So I can go?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm telling you, y'all sleeping on these graphics. Like, listen, we gotta talk after this. I need some animated graphics on my show. Okay, so first of all, this is my cup. This is a New Orleans themed cup that I actually got from New Orleans. My visit to the French Quarter several years ago, actually on a work trip, and you can see how it has like the music keyboard and then different instruments all the way across. So
over.
Yes, very beautiful.
Over.
Yes.
There, a little bit right there.
Very beautiful homage to the jazz-inspired soul of the South that we have down in New Orleans, right? But you want to know what's in the cup, right?
Yeah.
What's in the cup, Lindsey? I don't know if y'all ready. I don't know if they're ready. Let me see the comments. They ready?
Yeah,
right.
We're ready. We're ready.
All right. So, what do you know about cheer wine?
Cheer wine? I don't think I've heard of it.
Okay, you don't know.
Well, I know I haven't heard of it because one, it's a wine, and I'm looking at it. Even though it says wine, I'm looking at it like that's a Coke bottle.
Yes. So, a couple fun facts about cheer wine. So, it actually is not a wine, but it is a soft drink. Made in it originated in Salisbury, North Carolina, family-owned company, and so it's been around. You can see on the bottle, it's been around since 1917, and it was actually created in the midst of World War I during a sugar shortage. And so this drink was created. It's still celebrated in North Carolina. That's actually where I had my first drink of it because you know Robert Youngblood?
I've heard that name. It sounds familiar. He's in the membership program, right? He's in the network.
Yeah, he's the LinkedIn locksmith. And so we were down for the Speak Up book tour. We did a stop in Richmond, Virginia. And he took me, there's a restaurant in the South called Cookout. And so this is my first time going to Cookout. And so they was like, yo, you got to try the cheer wine. I'm like, are you saying cheer wine? It's like cheer wine. Cheer wine. People have been telling me this all day. I'm like, what is it? And so finally, he took me to get my first cheer wine, and they had all types of stuff. They had like Cookout. If you're ever in the South, highly recommend Cookout. Like it is not here in Baltimore. It was like, just to give you an example, you can get anything you want. It was like 5 nuggets for $1, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. It was like 12 o'clock at night. Yeah, it was. I was like, you telling me I can get 5 chicken nuggets for $1? So I give you $1, you're gonna give me 5 pieces of breaded chicken back that I'm gonna eat. They're like, yes, sir. I'm like, okay, cool. Drank my first one, and I was addicted. So got my cheer wine here, and it is absolutely. It has a cherry kind of flavor. The wine part of the name actually comes from its burgundy color. So cheer wine.
Gotcha. So does it have like a Coca-Cola, Pepsi type of flavor, but cherry flavored?
You know what? I cannot say that it tastes like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. It is a very distinct flavor. It's a cherry. If anything, it will be closer to like a cherry Coke, but I think it's smoother than cherry Coke. I can't compare it to really anything else other than.
Well, that's good to know because I'm not a big Coke or Pepsi drinker anyway. But now you got me feeling like I want to try some cheer wine.
Absolutely. Don't. Especially if you come to the South, like that's just make sure you don't leave the South without trying it.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to be on that. And so I'm about to get to these comments, but over here, let's see, we're not doing any endorsement deals. They didn't cut me a check. So I've got some lemon lime. And I don't have a pretty cup. Oh, I'm spilling it. See, look, I'm making a mess. I tried to do fancy with the little trick with the pull tab and the straw.
Yes.
I tried to make it fancy and it's not working out because now I'm spilling the drink. But yeah, there wasn't any cold wine in there, and things were crazy. And I looked at the clock and I was like, oh, it's time to go. But I've been craving some, almost said the name, some lemon lime soda. And I was like, you know what? We just gonna grab it. And I'm running out of cups. So listen, if any of you sell mugs or cups and you would like to sponsor an episode, or you have drinks and you would like to sponsor an episode, please reach out, okay? LindseyVertner.com. Just shoot me an email. And over here in the comments, let's see. Oh, I missed so many, and they are just loving it. Tanya says, it's so hard to manage so many social platforms as an entrepreneur. Honey, tell me about it. And Alea, she made it. Woo woo. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, yes, yes. Tanya is drinking strawberry kiwi Snapple. Oh. I do like that one. I haven't had that flavor in a while. And Anita is coming with the party. She's drinking vodka lemonade. Hey,
Anita.
Yes. So we're going to have the after party at her house.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right? And Tanya says, love that cup, Brian. Isn't it the cutest? I love unique cups like that. Just little mugs and everything. Alea was like, ooh. And Anita also thinks that cup is great. They are ready. We love it. And it looks like Miss Alea is Dr. Pepper's little cousin. Is that what it's like?
Some people have said that, yeah. Yep. Like the Dr. Pepper. I don't drink Dr. Pepper, so I can't really... and I'm gonna go your route. They don't cut me a check, so I ain't gonna endorse them either. But yeah.
Cher says, forget the drink. Let's just keep looking at your cup. I know. I like whenever cups are unique, or when anything is just unique and different from the norm. And so Alea says, I am from Durham, North Carolina, so it's all over here. Listen. Yeah. I guess I'm just going to have to make a trip. Here, look, somebody booked me to speak out there, so then I can write it off on my taxes, business deduction there. I was just about to ask, what does cheerwine taste like? Yeah, we answered that one. And I'm in Georgia, and we love cheerwine. Have to get it at Cookout every time. So you mean to tell me I could get it in Georgia? See, I knew nothing about it. I go to Georgia lots of times.
Virginia on South.
Virginia on South. Yeah.
I don't know about Florida, but I know all the other southern states. Yeah.
And we got Richmond, Virginia in the house. Thank you. Thank you. Cher says, thanks for the history behind it. Alea loves Cookout as well. I'm going to have to try this place out. There's a part of me that feels like I've been. So it's a restaurant? It's a fast food?
It's technically a fast food, but, look, I would never come on your show and lie to you. Like, I'm only going to give you the unvarnished truth.
We keep it real.
Yeah. There's not even the one I went to. There wasn't even a place to sit down, but you didn't even care. It was just like good. We sat outside. It was great. So
I love that. Tanya said you're shooting a whole commercial, and Alea is drinking a watermelon milkshake. I'm sorry. That does not sound appetizing to me. # no judgment zone, but a watermelon milkshake?
It might. I feel like it low key might be good because like you like watermelon is like refreshing and it's kind of like,
I could do a slushie, but I don't know about a milkshake. Yeah. And Cher agrees. She says 2 hamburgers, fries, onion rings, and a chicken quesadilla, all for $5. Yes. And yes, cherry Coke is the best correlation, but better. Y'all got me cracking up over here. So back to this discussion, okay, because it was getting good. We are talking about, just purpose. Well, not quite purpose quite yet, but being authentically who you are and embracing those things and not shying away from who you are as a person and what you generally like. So I want you to share with us, because I know you mentioned that you're an introvert, and I know you have coined the term certified introvert, and he's even got shirts for all my introverts out there. Put hashtag introvert in the comments if you are a certified introvert. And so how was that, being an introvert and then stepping into the speaking space?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to put some parameters around it, because sometimes people take introvert and extrovert and run with these different, paradigms of what that means. And so the purest definition that I've heard is the place where you get your energy. So introverts get their energy, they recharge from being by themselves, and like extroverts kind of come to life and recharge from being around others. And then there's also ambiverts, in the middle. So kind of, people that can, share that. That's you.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
You can flow between both. Yeah. So you're like the perfect blend. But either way, I think from a speaking perspective, I never crave the spotlight. Even now, like I actually don't seek out. I did 30 speaking engagements this year, and I didn't seek out really any of them. Everybody was like, "Hey, can you come speak on the platform?" I never say no unless I can't, or if it's not a good fit. But yeah, so I think my entry point into this space was, so I started Black Speakers Network in 2016, but 10 years before that, 2006, was the this introvert moment of truth. Because if you had been sitting in a small classroom next to me at Morgan State University, I had already left engineering, so now I'm in the School of Business, trying to figure that out. And I signed up for a Toastmasters, and so we started a Toastmasters club on campus. And so in the summer of 2006, I volunteered to be one of the first speakers at our first meeting. And so I stood up, nervously made my way to the front of the classroom and prepared to deliver my very first speech in Toastmasters. And you're like, why the heck would you do that? Instinctively, I felt this pull. And so I recognized, having done a little bit of speaking before, that if I could just get over this, I knew there was something waiting for me on the other side. They say everything that you want in life is waiting for you on the other side of your comfort zone. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to do something, I was already feeling bad about the engineering thing. Let me at least tackle this. And so I volunteered, and then we was off and running. And so if Lindsey, if you were on that first row, or maybe Tanisha, if you were there, Tanya, like you would have noticed a couple physical changes. You would have noticed my sweaty palms. And I mean, not like the regular, like actual, so I was holding the paper's turning clear. Like that's like what that looked like. Shaking voice, starting to tremble and starting to crack under the weight of the pressure of delivering my first few lines of the presentation. And I thought, okay, maybe I can get rid of some of this nervous energy. And so, I started pacing back and forth in the classroom. Somebody, I don't know who it was, Lindsey, left the door open. And so I almost walked out of the room. My friend Deepo Adesina, he's Nigerian. He's in the back trying to wave me back in like Southwest Airlines, like, yo, come back into the room. You got to be in here to give the speech. And so this is all in the first 30 seconds. A minute goes by, and if you could do like an X-ray, you would notice what's happening on the inside. Because Lindsey, people say they get nervous. Well, everyone always says it feels like you have butterflies in your stomach, right? Whether you're asking somebody on a date or you're on an interview or whatever, like butterflies. So mine, I had a bad case of butterflies, but they weren't like the Discovery Channel monarch kind of majestic ones that you see in slow motion. Like, look at the monarch fly around. Mine were like the Hannibal Lecter style horror movie. They're like crashing into each other, like about to like pop out. So all this happens. I make it through my first presentation, and I recognize three things, Lindsey. I'm like, okay, I'm still alive. That's great. Number two, everyone in the room was clapping. And in Toastmasters, Toastmasters is a very encouraging environment. So no matter what, you're going to get a round of applause. Like if you bring your chairwine to the meeting, like you're going to get a round of applause. Like it's fine.
Like good answer on Family Feud, even though they know that answer was crap.
It was not a good answer. Yeah. But Toastmasters is good for that. And then you get feedback along the way. So they're not just, patting you, they're actually helping you get better. But the third thing I realized, and most important as it relates to your question, is that, I realized I just survived my first presentation. And if I could deliver one, I could deliver two, and then two turned into four, four turned into 10, and eventually I gave my my first award in Toastmasters, and I started speaking outside of the club. And the thing with speaking is that it's kind of like driving when it comes to the fear, because a lot of people say, you got a fear of speaking and a fear. We really don't have a fear of speaking. We have a fear of being judged, right? We have a fear that we're going to forget what we're going to say, we're going to look silly or something like that. And so the more times that you do it, plus an environment where you get feedback, the better. And so, when you first start driving a car, Lindsey, you probably remember when you first started driving, like you're a nervous wreck. You don't know, like you're going to be backing up. You're trying to check around the car. You're going like 10 miles an hour. Fast forward a year, you're driving at night with one leg. You got cheer wine in one hand. You got a hamburger in another hand. Like you're talking to somebody on speakerphone. Like it's easy. You've driven
all the things you're not supposed to do while you're driving.
All the things. But I mean, you get more comfortable, and it's the same thing with speaking. And so that's why I looked at it from, Lindsey. I was like, okay, I didn't want to stay in this shell. And really, introverts are incredibly powerful speakers. And they're incredibly, I would say introverts are incredibly powerful communicators, because I think introverts are really effective listeners. They read the audience very well. They are very empathic, picking up on emotions, and have very high emotional intelligence. And so that's been something I've always focused on.
You touched on so many key points. If y'all are just tuning in, you're watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my handsome guest, Brian J. Old, CEO and founder of Black Speakers Network, which I am a premium member. We'll tell you how to sign up in just a little bit. But you touched on so many different things. Over here in the comments, they are just, they're eating it up. They're loving it. Yes. And Miss Alea says she's going to send me some cheer wine. And hey, yes.
Oh, that's great.
Appreciate it. I'll have to give y'all an update on what it tastes like. And Tanya says, I get it. I was nervous my first time too. I've spoken 3 times now. Congratulations, Tanya.
Right.
Yes. And thanks for tuning in, Miss Cynthia. So there's so many different things that you hit on in all of that. And I think a lot of times we are running from our purpose, and not so much as running, but the thing that we don't want to do is often where we can find a more impactful way to walk in our purpose. And so here you were, you're like, I'm feeling like all kinds of BGs, that's bubble guts, all kinds of bubble guts going on, but I'm going to do this. And I love that you said that everything that you want is on the other side of your comfort, or something like that. That you
said. Your comfort zone. Yep.
There you go. Everything you ever want is on the other side of your comfort zone, because I believe that just as well. And it's so true. Like, to truly grow and expand and fully walk in your purpose, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. Even like finding that support system or that community that's going to help you grow and elevate is also outside of your comfort zone sometimes. So I love that you touched on that part and how you just had to go for it. Fear and all, because a lot of times people will allow fear to stop them from going after their goals. That fear of judgment, like you said, or fear of rejection, or fear of failure, or fear of not being good enough. And so they end up doing nothing and they settle for less. And here you are, this amazing speaker, and you have this whole entire business that is phenomenal, all catered towards speaking. And even if you're not a speaker and you're watching this show, 1, it's still some great life lessons for you in general. And 2, all of us are speakers. we might not all be professional speakers, but we all are speakers. You have to speak when you communicate with your spouse. You have to communicate with your children. You have to communicate at your job, especially if you want a promotion or a position of leadership. If you're out in the community, you have to communicate. Therefore, you are a speaker. So you could still benefit from this whole conversation in spite of the life lessons that are also there.
That's right.
So, what would you say are your top 3 tips for aspiring speakers?
Top 3 tips for aspiring speakers. Okay, so within Black Speakers Network, we kind of, when I first started, we had to figure out a framework because, speaking is one of those things where you can like self-select in at any moment. Like you can update your LinkedIn profile to like, I'm a professional speaker, and then you're a professional speaker. But it doesn't really, necessarily, change anything. And so I think part of what most speakers struggle with is actually, we have a framework called the 5 M's, which Lindsey. And so it's, getting clarity on like your mission, your message, and, your marketing, how to monetize and how to manage your speaking business. And to answer your question, I'm going to dive into that first M of mission, because most people come into BSN and their first question is like, yo, how do I get more speaking opportunities? How do I get paid speaking opportunities specifically? And that's a great question, but it pre-assumes a lot of different things. It pre-assumes that you have, really great clarity on, who your target audience is, what problem you're solving, that you have marketing material, that you have a strategy involved. And so we're kind of leapfrogging over mission all the way over to monetization, and leaving some things out, which is fine. We're kind of in a society where we like fast results. And I always say that, the speaking business, really any business, like you said, is just not unique to speaking. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We are focused on, building long-term relationship, long-term businesses that last and scale over time. So I would say the 3 things to focus on is what we call the speaker sweet spot. So the speaker sweet spot is kind of, you remember in school how you had like the Venn diagrams, you had like circle and like another circle and the thing in the middle that kind of intersects. So if you picture instead of 2 circles, you got 3 circles that intersect, and the thing in the middle is your speaker sweet spot. And so that's the place where I think, a lot of speakers could benefit from slowing down to speed up in order to ensure that they're building a strong, profitable, speaking business. And so the first circle is your passion. So that's the thing that you absolutely love. And, for a lot of us, it's kind of passion. I don't think is the hard part. It's kind of picking which passion, because a lot of us are multi-passionate. Like we love music, we love art, we're creative, we're talented, we love science. So it's like figuring out like, what is that core thing? I know you can do a lot, but like, what is the core thing that you can really, really focus on, and not just the thing that you're excited about now. I mean, you heard me earlier, Lindsey, like I could, Power Rangers, wrestling, like, pick a thing. I can give a Kaya keynote right now on Naruto. I can, it would be great. Like people be like, man, he knows his Naruto, like he knows his jutsu. Absolutely. But, I'm not going to speak on that. I'm going to, figure out what that area is because of these other 2 areas. So the second area is expertise. What is the thing that now a couple things about expertise. Expertise may not sync up with your passion. It might, but it may not in a lot of cases. I'm sure Lindsey, and I'm sure, Tanisha, Cynthia, the folks watch it. You probably know people who have 10, 20, 30 years of experience in a specific industry, but they don't love it anymore. Like they have that passion for it. And so they're just kind of like going through the motions. And so you don't want to get stuck, and a lot of times you as a speaker, most speakers find speaking opportunities from, you guessed it, other speaking opportunities. So you get referred. So you don't want to get caught pigeonholed in a topic that you really don't enjoy just because you're good at it, just because you know it. You got to have both. And so the other thing about expertise is that a lot of times, and this is especially true, I think, within something we have to look at in as people of color and Black speakers specifically, we tend to discount our value and we tend to discount like our experience. For example, you know, if you make $100,000 doing whatever it is that you do, you know, whether you're a financial expert, maybe you're a manager leading people, whatever, more than likely, whatever, I like the 10x it. So like whatever you're making within your a company, whatever a company is willing to pay you, you're at least worth 10 times that in the open market, you know, doing it yourself. You know, and so now, but your mind, you're like, man, I've only made $90,000. I've only made $60,000 a year, and so that's what I'm worth. And that's not true. People will. There are people right now that will cut you a check for what you know, because the company is not there to make you rich. The company is just there to pay you. You know what it would probably cost to replace you. They're not there, you know. So that's the whole thing. So expertise is really, really important. And then the last piece I'll say about expertise is that we need to get more comfortable. Like you don't need to be the expert, the foremost expert in the world. Like you don't need to be Neil deGrasse Tyson, or you know, you just need to know more than your current audience, and be committed to continuously learning and developing as you continue to grow. So if you have those things, then you're good. So that's just two. So that's passion, number one. Second circle, expertise. And then the third circle, if I could put here, this would be a great time to have 3 arms. But
I got you. Don't worry, I got you.
Just picture 3 circles. The third circle is the one nobody likes to talk about. But we're going to talk about it because we're on a happy hour show.
Hey.
I got chair wine.
And I got lemon lime.
Generic lemon lime, yes. Market demand. So passion, expertise, market demand. So what do people need that they're willing to pay for, right? And so this whole concept in any other business, if you were starting a bakery, if you were starting a manufacturing company, if you were going to, you know, build townhomes, if you were like a real estate developer, you have to do this thing called market research. Mm-hmm. And within market research, you are figuring out how big the total market is for a specific problem. And you create a what's called a TAM. So it's called a TAM, a total addressable market. And so if anybody watches Shark Tank, you hear people get hit with these questions like all the time, like how big is the market size? Who are the competitors? What are they charging? What is the opportunity? What is your unique value proposition? Like these are the questions that you have to ask yourself, even as a speaker. So it's not enough, you know, if you come in and you're like, you know, who's your target audience? And you're like, women. All right, that's a good start, you know, because there's 7 billion people on the planet, so half of them are women. So what about women? Are we like Girl Scouts? Are we moms, grandmothers? You know, professional? What is it? And it's not so much the demographics, but it's what is the problem that's tying that group of people that you are serving together? Because the pain is what you're going to tap into in order to be able to effectively create a promise that brings them to their solution. So this is the whole webinar itself. But my main thing is, you know, the clearer you can get on your market and you know, look for clues of what's already out there. You know, go to Amazon, see what books are selling. Go to Google, see how many searches are coming up for that specific thing. And then see what your unique value could be. What is going to be your Lindsey special sauce to solving this problem that's probably already being solved, but you can solve it better, faster, cheaper, whatever. So that's what we call the speaker sweet spot. And so I think, and again, that's just mission. Yes. Oh, that was beautiful. That is a beautiful sweet spot. Yes. And it's in color. I never even thought about putting it in color. This
So what we're not going to talk about is my asymmetrical circles here, okay? But for those of you who don't know what a Venn diagram is, I got you covered. And for those of you that are visual, I got you covered. So your sweet spot is going to be right there. Right there.
Yes. You got it. Yep. Yours kind of looks like a heart, which I love because you should do it with love.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, well, y'all get the point. It's where it's colored in right here. Passion, expertise, and market demand. So I told you, see, I had you covered. There is your circle. Mm-hmm.
There you go. but that's critically important. Now, keep in mind, that's just mission. That's talking about message, marketing, monetize. But here's the good news. If you take the time to figure that out with mission, everything else falls into place because it's you can't build a signature keynote if you don't know who you're talking to. It's not going to resonate. You can't create marketing copy for a website. You can't target an audience that you haven't defined. It's very expensive to try to market to the entire world. You don't have enough money. Facebook will take it. Like you can go there and put in an ad budget, be like, yo, spend $20 a day and you will be broke with no result.
Right.
So that's the thing.
Yes, so many great points. And again, if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour show, and you're definitely going to have to go back and watch the replay because I can't believe that we are nearing the end of the show. And over here in the comments, Tanya says, Lindsey, this tea is good. Ryan is dropping the speaker tea. And we so appreciate, I know, right? I like what she did there. We so appreciate it here on the Happy Hour show. And right now, I think that this is a great time to play another little game, a nice fun game.
30-second hot shot. Answer the question in 30 seconds or less, or take your shot.
Yeah. Perfect timing for a 30-second hot shot. If you've never seen the show before, then this is the part of the show where our guest, Mr. Brian J. Oates, answers your questions in 30 seconds or less. And if he misses the buzzer, then he's got to take a shot of his cheer wine that he's drinking.
Hurry up, because it's almost gone.
Well, then you better get it in 30 seconds. So I know that there were some questions over here. Let me pull them. I got some that were already submitted. Oh, wait. There we go. And
you got branded cards? Yo, I need to. Can we get a masterclass on how to do no, for real, because this is ridiculous. Like you have is this your sponsor? Who is sponsoring this? You got sponsor?
Listen, we gonna work on that, okay? That's why we're not saying the name of this lemon lime soda right here.
All right, well, somebody's watching Audi, like Coca-Cola, like somebody need to get in on this.
I'm with you. Yes, over here. Let me see. There was a question right here. Okay, so let me get my handy dandy timer. Put it on 30 seconds. Oh. Okay, there we go. So the very first question is, why did you start Black Speakers Network? So I forgot to explain the rules. I'm going to ask the question, then I'll start the timer, and you have 30 seconds.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Why did you start Black Speakers Network? Go.
Yep. So I started Black Speakers Network because I was really frustrated in looking in the marketplace and not seeing a strong representation of speakers of color. And so having looked around and not seeing anything, like any good entrepreneur, you find a need and you fill it. And so I was like, hey, I want to make sure that the speaking industry has the next generation of Black professional speakers.
Sweet. And you have 6 seconds left to spare. Whoop, whoop.
So we do it.
There was a good question. I'm going to save that one for last because you might need a little bit more time. So this next question says, Brian, does your program help with the market area for that speaker's individual cost analysis? Go.
Yes. It's a close-ended question. So, Now we have a program called it's actually a newer program called the Speaker Success Sprint. We only take about 10 speakers per quarter, and so we do a deep dive into all the good stuff.
Sweet. And see, I didn't even know about that one, and maybe because I need to read all of the emails. But there is so much available in the Black Speakers Network. There is a free portion. So if you are that person that's like, I don't have a budget for anything, start somewhere. Start with the free portion. And then there is the premium portion, which has, and it's still a low cost membership fee, but you get some additional perks. And then there are so many different areas. They got the Black Speakers University, they got lessons and courses, blogs, all kinds of things on the website.
Yes.
So this next question says, oh, where'd it go? Okay. What was your biggest struggle to overcome as a speaker? Go.
My biggest struggle was just doing exactly what we said, getting to like my own like speaker sweet spot and, just knowing my worth. One of my first speaking opportunities, I was actually brought in to be a trainer at college and university. So I was speaking to people that was like twice my age. And I'm like, should I even be talking to them? Like, they probably make more than me and they're old enough to be my dad. So getting over that imposter syndrome.
Ooh, right on time.
I have a good internal like barometer.
I love that you mentioned that, though. I just want to kind of take a pause for a second, because sometimes we do discount ourselves and we minimize our skills and our abilities because we feel like, oh, this person is older than me or this person has more experience and so they can't learn anything from me. But that is a complete limiting block that we place upon ourselves, because no matter what age you are, you can always learn, and you can always learn from anyone and anything around you. My kids teach me stuff all the time. Elders teach me stuff all the time, and vice versa. I have taught and coached people that are older than me and younger than me. So it's more about being open and willing to receive that improvement or education, or, just always be on the path of staying a student, which helps to keep your mind open, because you never know where lessons are going to come from. Like, you might look out the window and a squirrel might teach you a lesson. Okay.
There's this kid, his name is Truth Jones. And I think he's like 16. He's definitely not 18. Like 14. Truth, like he teaches stock market investing, and he is I ain't gonna put his business out, but he is crushing it. Like, and he's not BSM, but I'm just saying, like, from the perspective of somebody who is like, when you know your stuff, like age doesn't really matter, but you have to believe it before somebody else.
Right. That confidence has to start from within and exude out, because if you don't believe what you're saying, how am I supposed to believe what you're saying?
Yeah.
So this next question says, how do you critique yourself? Go.
All right. So, as a speaker, there are a couple ways. I always recommend recording your presentations. Back in the day, before everybody had an iPhone or, Android, Team Android, we would record them and play them back. And so, but I recommend that. And I'm still a member of Toastmasters. So if you're not a part of that organization, I highly recommend checking out a Toastmasters club. Sweet.
And always be reflective. I talk about in First Class Life being reflective, which is self-aware of how your environment affects you and how you affect your environment. And that's also understanding and being willing to improve the areas that you may or may not be lacking in. So, you are dropping it. And now back to this original question that came up here way back at the beginning of the show. This question says, question for both of you. How was your first time getting out of your comfort zone and being the true creative you are? I've been doing it now 2 years and still embracing. So you go ahead and you take it away, Mr. Old.
Yeah. So I think, I don't even know first time getting out of my comfort zone, but I think it's a journey. And that's the most important thing is, to give ourselves grace. For me, it was, I remember when I first started BSN, there was no like Lindsey. I'm so glad that she, is a BSN premium member. She's loving it, but there was no premium membership when we started. It was a Twitter page, I think a Facebook group, and a website that I built myself, all from, scratch. There was no unified service delivery model. There was no team. There was no membership. And so I had a person that his name is John Conberiotti, actually. He's not even black, he's white. He was my financial planner. And so he was like, I went over to visit him, and he had a newborn son, and I sat in the living room. He was like, Brian, are you ever planning to I love the concept of BSN. You got a couple thousand people, now in your Facebook group. Are you ever going to monetize this thing or what? Because I know you want to do other things. And I was like, he's like, you probably have people right now ready to pay you, but you just don't have a mechanism set up to do it. Like, you don't have anything to offer. But if you offered, people will probably pay you. And he was right. Like, we launched it was called the Silver membership before, for $15. And I signed up first as my first customer, and I still am my first customer today. But, we had 1 member, 2 member, 3 members, it started to snowball. And so today we have over 500, paid members every single month, paying a membership. And I think part of it is, getting out of your comfort zone. I think we had this misconception, Tanya, that, we can read our way or, attend seminars and do things that will, get us to the point where we are ready to take action as more comfortable. But I don't think that's really the case. I think action precedes motivation, and action precedes those things happening. And so as you do more, you get feedback from the marketplace, nothing at all to me is more validating of that than having a customer, like a sale, like somebody, because people will talk all day long, but they're like, oh, Lindsey, the best. I love you, girl. Yeah, I come to Mexico. I'm with you to the end, ride or die. I love your brand, blah, blah, blah. But then when you ask somebody to whip out a credit card and they do something, that's where the rubber meets the road. And I feel like, when you start racking up some of those small wins, and it doesn't have to be major, but you have to do it consistently. So that would be where I would say my piece is.
Yes. And I absolutely agree with everything that Brian said. It's definitely an ongoing process because we're always going to have fear. It's a natural human instinct. And fear is good because it helps keep you alive and out of danger. But fear can also be bad because meanwhile, its only job is to keep us alive and out of danger. And so it places fear upon everything. And what happens is we allow that fear to hold us back when really we have to use it as energy to keep going. And one key thing that Brian mentioned was that he started. He didn't have all the things and all the people and all the processes and systems. He started somewhere. And so that's something else that holds us back. We feel like we have to have all the things before we can step out of our comfort zone. But the important piece is to just start somewhere. Progress is better than perfection, and you can grow and improve along the way as you go. You don't have to start with 100 million members. Start with yourself. Then grow to 1, then grow to 2, then 3, then 4, and so on and so forth. And you can apply that to anything in your life. So that was a great, great question.
Absolutely.
And Cynthia gave the thumbs up, and Miss Cher says, thanks, Brian. You were great. Amazing show as always. Thanks for tuning in. Tanya says, yes, Lindsey. Mm-hmm. And 100 thumbs up. Yes, that's how I felt with my first client. Heartwarming. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I can't believe that we've already been an hour. Thank you to everyone. But I have one more signature question that I have to ask you before we go. And then I know that you are going to share how people can connect with you further. And so, as I mentioned, I am all about living a first-class life where you are intentional about the life that you are creating for yourself and about creating happiness in every moment that you can. And so I have to ask, how do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
So for me, it's about setting boundaries. I was talking to you a little bit, Lindsey, about your guest experience process, and I'll tell you here, like it is one of the best guest experience process. Like if you ever come on Lindsey's show, there's a calendar invite, there are multiple reminders, there's a process. You're not just winging it. And I think the three things that I am like that if I was to pick a foundation for BSN and just my own personal area of expertise, it's people, community, and systems. And the systems, I think, are super, super important. And I don't mean like technology, but I mean you having a consistent process in the way that you do things to get things done in your life. And so for me, I don't take a lot of unscheduled phone calls. I have a calendar for everything. If somebody wants to book me for a podcast interview, bit.ly/BSN interview, bit.ly/ like I have bit.ly link for like everything. Somebody wants to join. Even when people refer me out to other people, like I have a script in OneNote, copy paste it, may modify a little bit, but I don't do a lot of stuff over from scratch if it's repeatable. And so I think the answer to the question is, that systems allow you to create that type of psychological space and safety to create boundaries where you can say no. Like my weeks are set up. Mondays are like my project days. Tuesday through Thursdays is for stuff like this, speaking, webinars, podcasts, etc. Fridays I take off. Like I'm out. I do what I want. If I want to do a webinar, I can, but I don't have to. I'm off. I'm chilling.
Hey.
And then Saturday and Sundays are kind of split up. And so give yourself permission to set those boundaries. But the boundaries are only going to work if you have strong systems in place, because you know that something's not going to drop. And so that's what I would say. George Fraser always says ideas are good, but systems are better. So focus on your systems.
I love that. Over here in the comments, Tanya says, he better say self-care because Lindsey is a self-care queen. And I love that you mentioned that because everybody defines self-care differently. And that's why it's important to be true to you and the things that you love and the things that truly relax you and bring you happiness. And then she says, Friday are your self-care days. And so thank you for tuning in. And before you go, let me put this back on the screen, how everybody can reach you because you are phenomenal, but also tell them about this community that you have. You can join right there at bit.ly/BSNFB. And so tell them a little bit about that and what they get when they join the community.
Yeah, so I think, if you're at a place where you're like, yes, I definitely want to be a speaker. I am a speaker. I'm looking for more speaking opportunities, trying to learn the speaking business, then come on over. We have 11,000 people waiting to hang out with you, and you get an opportunity to learn. We do not only weekly speaker training within the BSN community. So we do Thursday speaker development classes, but we do like pop-up interviews. We just had one a couple minutes ago with Jessica Lundy talking about speaker marketing secrets for speakers who focus on the college speaking market. And so she was there dropping knowledge about that. So we're constantly sharing resources, celebrating each other, people that are winning awards, booking their first speaking opportunity, hosting events, etc. So if you are a speaker, specifically a Black speaker, then it's just kind of a no-brainer. I know not everybody, we're all in like 1,000 Facebook groups, but I think you'll get a lot out of it. And as my free gift to you, as Lindsey mentioned, when you join the group, you leave your email, you get a free copy of our best-selling book, Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominate in the Speaking Industry. Lindsey has a signed copy from me. But, that is our gift to you. There are 35 chapters that focus specifically on those 5 M's that I mentioned. So you don't have to read the whole thing. You could just literally turn the chapter like, how do I get paid for speaking opportunities? How do I, maximize my opportunity to be on a panel or as an MC? How do I, what should be on my speaker website? So you can use it like a prescription to what you're working on in your speaking business. But you got to leave your email. If you don't leave your email, you're not going to get booked because we can't guess who,
Yes.
So
your
yes,
digital copy of the book. So you don't get a physical one like this. You got to go to the website and purchase your physical copy. But when you join the community, bit.ly/BSNFB, which stands for Black Speakers Network Facebook, then you will get your free digital copy as long as you leave your email.
exactly. Yep. So come on, hanging out with us. If you want to connect with me, I'm easy to find. You can just Google Brian Olds or Black Speakers Network for that matter. We'll need a lot of links for that, but it's right there. And if you want to apply to be a BSN Premium member, you can do that too. But this is awesome, Lindsey. You need to do a masterclass on how to do a StreamYard show. I'm not going to leave you alone about that. I don't know if y'all realize how long it takes to have this stuff. Like, you can't be here like typing stuff. Like, this stuff has to be like pre-populated in advance. Like, this the production value of the show is just like blowing my mind. So if you don't find a sponsor, like, we gotta, something has to happen. So, but
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Tanya says, I'm already a member, but not paid, but on my way to be. Look out for me. Well, we're going to be looking. I'm going to give you a special celebration when you join the premium group. And Tanya says, she taught me and I've been rocking it on my interviews. Oh, thank you. I'm sure you are doing awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, because I know I got all the people that watch and tune in to the Happy Hour show. But we have been over a little bit of an hour. And so I appreciate you because you could be doing anything in the world right now at this time. But you are here with us and my guests. And I truly, truly appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. And make sure that you follow my phenomenal guest, Mr. Brian J. Olds, CEO and founder of Black Speakers Network. You can see all of his info right there. Follow him on Instagram, go to the IG, sign up for the group and everything. And then also make sure you sign up for updates of future episodes. And sometimes my guests give happy hour specials, but only if you're on the VIP list. So make sure you sign up at bit.ly/happy updates so that you can stay updated on all things happy hour. And make sure you tune in for the next episode. We're here every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, but some Thursdays, including this Thursday, yes, 2 days away, you can catch me again with my next guest. And until then, make sure you stay classy. # no judgment zone, first class life. Keep it happy. Thank you for tuning in to the Happy Hour show. And with that, sign up for updates, and I'll see you later.